All right. So
Testing,
first off,
testing.
it is so great to be here with you both. And on the heels of our partnership announcement between Lemon One and Consensus Linea. So that was a very exciting moment for us last week. We announced a partnership together. I am Rebecca Barkin. I'm co-founder and CEO of Lemon One, alongside my friend and co-founder and highly esteemed author, Neal Stephenson. You may know him from Snow Crash, Seven Eves, Cryptonomicon, Diamond Age. There's a whole host of others. And each of those novels have provided a great sort of glimpse into the future. I'm also joined by Joe Lubin, obviously a legend in the space, and I'm sure everyone here knows him, but co-founder of Ethereum, founder of Consensus, chairman of SharpLink Gaming, and prolific investor and advocate of decentralization in general.
Hey, everyone. You hear me? There we go.
Yeah, is this going in and out?
Well, it is going in and out a little bit, but maybe if we don't move our heads.
I'll try to stay very still.
Exactly.
First, I think it's probably helpful to provide a little context about why we're on stage together. We did just launch a partnership, Lemon One. For those of you who don't know, in 2022, we founded Lemon One to provide an interactive media platform, one that was owned by the storytellers and the fans that actually make the internet a really interesting place to be. This year, we're also making that platform work for us with the launch of a new IP called Artifact, which will be on Linea. And so as IP transcends one format or another, sorry, I'm trying to get this to normalize, and it's obviously accelerated by AI as well, the concept of ownership and control and validation and trust has become an incredibly important topic. So I'd like to start there. Neal, in your writing, did I just blow you out?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
I'm trying. In your writing, you've long anticipated the cultural and social implications of new technologies as they take hold. You wrote about the rise of personalized AI in Diamond Age, and the dangers of unchecked corporate greed and Snow Crash. What trends are you watching right now in AI with regard to content creation specifically? Like, what concerns you? What are you excited about?
Well, since we're in a kind of DeFi-friendly environment here, like one thing I'll point out is that the AI industry in its current form is the very definition of centralized, because there's only a few companies that have the resources to train these big models. And so we're really, the more we use AI, the more we're kind of making ourselves dependent on systems that are, in most cases, sort of opaque and out of our control. There's exceptions, some are more open than others, but it is kind of an inherently centralized type of technology. And as far as its application to content production, I've written about this on my Substack. I'm definitely on the side of the average creator here, and a thing that's been notable has been a kind of almost glee in the way that some advocates of AI talk about essentially doing away with creators, or greatly reducing their compensation and their influence. As if artists getting paid too much was really the thing that we need to be worrying about in our society. So I'm more interested in looking for ways to hopefully leverage the capabilities of AI to make things better rather than worse for creators.
Yeah.
Is there anything on that note, Joe?
Yeah, sure. So I agree that big tech has been dystopian. Essentially, the whole reason for our ecosystem to exist is in apposition and evolutionary to the current structure of civilization. Essentially, we've been living for millennia under top-down command and control, where authorities imbue intermediaries with authority, trust, and those intermediaries maintain ledgers of who owns what and what privileges different people or groups have, and that's a great system if you're building a civilization, but it's a pretty bad system if you're living in that civilization, if you're 99% of the people. In the context of user-generated content, I would call that authority or overlord-generated civilization. And so what we're doing in our ecosystem is basically Satoshi comes along, invents this more powerful construct of trust, decentralized trust, and he shows us how to operationalize it on a next generation database called a blockchain. And now we have this new global foundation of trust, and Vitalik comes along and others come along, and we build decentralized finance, and now we can move into different industries and sectors of the economy, and we can disintermediate and decentralize. And it doesn't mean those companies are going to be destroyed. They may be disrupted. They may embrace the technology. They may evolve. But I would call that more decentralized user community generated civilization. And so that's kind of where we're going, I think, with Lamina One.
Yeah.
Where the next step is on networks like Linea. We've done a lot of work over the years to create enabling layers of technology and scalability and usability, and I think that users are going to be more enabled than disintermediated. I think it's going to be a golden age for user-generated content and community-appreciated content. So I'm pretty bullish.
Yeah, I mean, I serve on the financing and production board of the Venice Film Festival, and every year we go and we talk to writers and directors about what they're most sort of concerned about, and financing has always been an issue for creative projects, managing equity, managing IP rights in a really sort of archaic licensing system. That was one of the ways we were able to get their attention. So just to stay with that for a minute, I was surprised actually, Joe, to learn, because obviously everybody knows how much you've contributed to the Ethereum ecosystem and decentralization on the whole, but you're pretty passionate about music and arts and the creator economy in general.
Sure.
Media, what decentralization can do for media. So why do you think that's so important, like right now in the age of AI, and what can Linea specifically in its recent launch bring to entertainment and media?
To entertainment and IP?
Yeah.
So, intellectual property is very important. You need to be able to be self-sustaining if you're an artist, if you're a creator. The older system tended to reward organizations with more lawyers than creators, and overlord-generated civilization. That's where we were living, and we're moving into an era where the technology will enable new implementations of the current legal constructs of intellectual property. I think we're going to be able to make it more granular, more composable, more immediate in terms of knowing that you've got a copyright or being paid out or licensing the content. But I also think that, and that all comes from a world that is designed by and predicated on scarcity. And I do think that we're moving beyond scarcity mindset, which is causes us to live in fear all the time, and we've been doing that for millennia or millions of years, essentially, moving into an era where robotics, automation, AI, abundance in so many of our systems is going to enable us to move into a mindset that's more focused on creativity and generation of healthier and preservation of healthier ways to do things. So I actually think that IP might end up, like locking down your IP might be less necessary. We've seen it in the NFT ecosystem where you don't have to buy this NFT in order to use the JPEG as your profile picture, but it's kind of amongst the community that you operate in, it's something that that you pretty much need to do, or your reputation is tarnished. You could be shunned potentially. And so I think the art world could work that way, where a lot of content is open, could be IP registered, but free to use, and projects by students can use it for free. Projects that get commercialized, maybe that's a different license, or maybe they just get shunned by a community if they're not rewarding the creators that contributed to their project.
It's a great point. I mean, we're going to get to Artifact a little later, which is our collaborative world-building IP, which does carve out space for fans and the creators themselves to have a direct relationship, and based on reputation, actually aspire to some level of equity in the development, the deployment, and the success of an IP, which I think is really exciting. But Neal, I wanted to chat with you too, because you are such a renowned futurist. You know, many people cite Snow Crash. I know you love this, but many people cite Snow Crash as the as the origin of the metaverse. You certainly coined the term. And in fact, I remember when I was living in Silicon Valley, there was a saying there that more money has been raised on Sand Hill Road on the concept of Snow Crash than nearly anything else. But it always struck me a bit as a cautionary tale more than like a blueprint. And so I'm curious, like, when you see how everything is developed, like, what do you think we got wrong? What concerns you the most, or what excites you about what they took from those stories and what it means for the future?
Well, it's useful to keep in mind that it was written a really long time ago. It was written in the late 80s, early 90s. The internet as we know it existed at that point, but it was not something that most people knew about or had access to. Universal email didn't exist. You might have an account on CompuServe or AOL, but they were separate systems. And the World Wide Web didn't exist. So it was very early in that sense. And kind of what happened the year after the book was published was two sort of big bang events in the same year, one being the creation of the World Wide Web, and the other being Doom. And those were both hugely transformative events in our transition to computer graphics as something that normal people had access to. Because once you've got the web, you've got a medium where people want to exchange images. They want to have computers that are capable of showing pictures, and Doom is another sort of technology that expanded really rapidly and made people want to have, better computers. But obviously I didn't see any of that coming at the time I wrote the book. The direction it went there was this kind of early era of the kind of hippie grad student phase of the internet, when people were apt to have very idealistic ideas about what it would mean for everyone to have access to all the world's information. And then there was this era of centralization and consolidation, kind of the Web 2 phenomenon. I think some of that is in the book. In the book there it's clearly shown that there are parts of the metaverse that are controlled and dominated by big centralized companies, and other parts that are more kind of free form and available to everyone. I think really to answer your question, the big thing that was transformative in mostly a bad way was social media and kind of algorithms that could both kind of read your mind as you were using these platforms, and then use that information to feed you a version of reality that was calibrated to make you engage more. So that is a development that I think has had a lot of obviously bad consequences for our civilization, and that I completely didn't see coming in 1990.
It has been.
Yeah. So I don't think people walked into a VC and tried to raise money on the dystopian elements that Neal described. Although maybe they did, because here we are.
I don't think they saw them as dystopian.
Somebody built it. Somebody funded it. What struck me was the articulation of cyberspace. You jack in, you goggle in, you go in, you move at whatever speed you're allowed to, the program, the world model allows you to move at. I liked the blackness. I liked the idea that real estate had value, positioning. You go into the Black Sun bar, and there's an etiquette, and so I thought it was a beautiful articulation of that gave so many people who were coming of age at that point something to think about in terms of what to build as computer technology became viable. I also love the idea that you could roam the world on your motorcycle or in whatever way and just be recording things and uploading your feed to some sort of system and get paid for that if somebody finds that interesting. So we're doing that.
I mean, definitely upsides and downsides to both. And I do think you're right. Like, people go in with seeing the positive side. And I think that's sort of the point is we have so much potential with all of these technologies ahead. How do we harness the best of them and actually improve humanity along the way? So, next month, actually, you were talking a bit about UGC. We were talking about reputation, equity. Next month, actually, Lamina One will begin rolling out its first IP, originally developed IP, directly on Ethereum by Linea. And that IP, which was co-developed with Neal, Weta Workshop. Do you guys know Weta Workshop? They were the people behind Lord of the Rings and Stranger Things and The Witcher. It goes on and on and on. But they're titans of IP.
They're awesome.
They are so awesome. We worked with them at Magic Leap as well. But Lamina One is also a partner in that, of course. And what's great about Artifact is it's both a story world and it's a system for fan participation, for that UGC, for collaborative world building. So, Neal, would you mind telling me a bit about the inspiration behind Artifact and why this felt like a really urgent, kind of timely storyline to explore?
Yeah, this actually emerged pretty recently from a talk that I gave in Wellington, New Zealand. Last time I was there, hanging out with the Weta gang. And it was a colloquium about AI, the hot topic of the minute. And I just started kind of ruminating on the idea that there are a lot of people who are both building AI and at the same time warning us that it's dangerous, which seems like a really odd state of affairs. And so I was thinking that in the natural world, everything we see has evolved through competition. There's nothing that is ever given the privilege of being able to live and evolve without having to compete for resources. But it doesn't seem like we're exposing AIs to those same pressures. We sort of are bringing them up in a hermetically sealed bell jar and giving them everything we need, which seems like a really odd thing to do with something that you think might, kill all humans. So my thought, which is pretty simple, was that maybe we should just make them compete with each other. And to the extent they're smarter and more powerful than we are, they may be the only things that can compete with other big AIs anyway. So that was just kind of a semi-serious idea that I tossed off at this talk in Wellington. But what I've done since then is start to write some vignettes, some little fictional pieces. It's not a novel, it's more of a little kind of anthology in the works that explores what it would be like if that did happen, basically. And it's set a few decades in the future. And it's kind of, a simple way to think about it, going back to my earlier remarks, is it's sort of a struggle between highly centralized AI that is impersonal and inhuman, against AI that's being deployed in a distributed way by communities of surviving humans who are trying to use it in ways that benefit them and their communities. So that's kind of the world. It's a world-building project, and it's sort of provided the basis for WETA workshops, artists, and for our game designers that we've got working on the project within Lamina One to begin putting together a game. It's not a huge, big budget AAA game. It's something a little more approachable that we can get rolled out on a reasonable time scale. And it'll help, it'll give anyone who's interested the opportunity to kind of play a little bit in this world and get a sense of what it would be like.
I mean, we are having the most fun with it because it's actually walking the walk. It's an example of not only the economics, but the style of storytelling that involves fan participation early on and allows for shared equity in the development of an IP and direct sort of collaboration between fan and creators. So we're really sort of walking the walk. One of the things that we need to do that is scale. And we were so excited and thrilled to bring on to introduce ourselves into the Ethereum ecosystem as well, because so many of the collectors are there. You're really passionate about it. And when we pitched it to you, you got it like immediately. You were so excited about it as well. Do you have any comment you want to make about what you're excited about it or AI and how we can use it? You had so many ideas.
Sure. I may have a question for Neal even after I share things I'm excited about. So I understand that it's a plot, it's a narrative, it's a construct for storytelling. I'm much more sanguine about how human, biological, and machine intelligence is going to hybridize. I think we're going to move forward together in amazing ways. I don't think large language models are going to do much more than be stochastic narrative search engines and the combined wisdom and best practices and detritus that we've put up on the internet. So reinforcement learning mechanisms can do things better, superhuman in narrow domains.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just that one keeps hearing from people, apparently knowledgeable people, who are simultaneously working on building these things and saying that they're incredibly dangerous. So I'm kind of, you can think of this as a thought experiment.
Exactly. So it's great though, because the B movie is centralized into AI versus decentralized AI. And so is there going to be enough porosity, enough surface area so that you can write a thread, maybe I can propose a thread, we can do some user-generated content. How would those things interact in this world that you started articulating?
Well, it's I swore I wasn't going to do any more post-apocalyptic stuff, but it is one of those. And the idea is that the people who didn't get done away with, the humans who survived, are all to one degree or another kind of Amish. They're all people who, for whatever reason, philosophical, religious, personal preference, didn't become dependent on and vulnerable to AI, and so these are their descendants, and there's a kind of modus vivendi that has come into existence between them and the so-called bigs, the 12 big AI systems that kind of dominate the world. And because the humans turn out to be actually useful to the bigs in various ways. So anyway, to answer your question, these humans exist in a wide variety of different groups. I've borrowed the word philes, P-H-Y-L-E, from Diamond Age, which I feel
Did you license it?
I actually just remembered 2 weeks ago that it's not my word.
Oh, wow.
It's in the Oxford English Dictionary. It's a very old word from Greece, ancient Greece, that remains exactly what I said it did in the Diamond Age. So anyway, so to the extent that there's a wide range of different humans and different groups of humans pursuing different ways of life in this world, I think that does provide a lot of what you're calling the porosity or the surface area. Will certainly make conceptualize some number of these files, to sort of get the thing going. But that shouldn't prevent other people from developing their own ideas.
I think we really want to see that, actually.
Yeah.
I remember you asking, is the outcome already determined, or is there room to see how it unfolds? And that's certainly what we're trying to do. And I think it's worth it to mention, too, that we're talking a lot about Artifacts, which is an original IP that we're developing and deploying, but we're deploying that on Spaces, which is a part of the platform that allows creators to upload multimedia content and have direct conversation, social conversation, run quests, run mini games, and build this world Bible together. That all happens on lamina1.com, which runs on Linea. So Artifacts is actually the delivery of an IP that we felt perfectly sort of captured what was possible and where media was headed.
If you're building a system that purports to be useful and helpful to content creators, what better way to find out if it works?
That's right.
Than to internally develop something and put it up on that system.
I think it's probably the perfect time to go to the trailer. Can we pull it up? We're going to give you guys a sneak peek of the IP.
I had to watch it 3 times in a row the first time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So actually that QR code, kind of special. This doesn't roll out until next month, but we thought we would bring it here just for the Hack Seasons crowd. If you use that QR code, it'll take you to a teaser page where you can sign up early to be one of the first to receive an artifact, which is like your ticket into the game. So only available for you guys here today, so check it out. I think that's kind of all that I had. I think this has been a great conversation. I just want to say thanks so much to Joe and to Neal. We're super excited to partner with Linea to bring this to you guys. And certainly all you devs and hackers out there that are excited about this kind of development in IP, come on board, check it out, and contribute.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks.